So I should go to bed. But I saw this. It was only 4.5 minutes long, 5 minutes long. I thought, all right, Hasan. But I've got to say, buddy, you still didn't make the main channel.
So last week, this happened. These two dudes trying to have a business meeting at a Starbucks got arrested for being black. And
no, they didn't, you liar. Jesus Christ, they got arrested for trespassing because they weren't customers of the Starbucks that they were sitting in, and the owner wanted them to leave because they refused to become customers. Is that really so hard to say? It's really not to do with them being black, but carry on, buddy.
And to most sane people, it was another obvious example of the racial discrimination people of color face every day in America.
That's it. That's the same person. That's not the far-left Inquisition's answer, where everything is racist. Because this is just... Hasan, you don't even understand, right? What you're doing by saying that this was a racially motivated event is that nothing can ever be done to a black person without it being racist.
Yeah, but I guess it wasn't as obvious to everyone.
Most people aren't far-left lunatics, Hasan. Disappointingly enough for you, I guess.
Which is crazy, especially when you consider that the manager only waited 2 minutes after the two men entered the Starbucks before calling 911. The call was...
That's because they walked in and said, hey, can we use the bathroom? And they said, no, they're for customers only. And so they just walked on and sat down. And apparently the barista was shouting at them to buy something and get out. And they didn't. They didn't have to wait very long to realize that these people weren't customers and therefore should leave.
Placed at 4:37, approximately 2 minutes after you arrived, to 911.
I can't even figure out what kind of coffee I want in that time, let alone remember the fancy Italian way of saying large so I don't come across like uncultured swine. It's fucking venti, Karen. I get it. But for the intellectual giant Ben Shapiro, perhaps this wasn't racist after all.
Nothing about it seems to have been racist. You couldn't figure out what coffee you wanted to order. Well, they knew they didn't want any coffee for some reason.
I think it was that they were hanging around the Starbucks for like 15 minutes.
Which, as everyone knows, is illegal. Also,
if they ask you to leave their private property and you don't leave, it actually is illegal, Hasan. It's called trespassing, which is why the police came and removed them. Because Starbucks is private property, and these guys were on there without the permission of the owners. Is that really so hard to understand?
Maybe Ben didn't know they were there only for 2 minutes before the cops were called.
They could have been there 30 seconds. But if they said, we're not going to buy anything, we're just going to stand here, the owner's got every right to call the cops to remove them. That is one of the reasons cops exist, Hasan.
But for someone who loves...
And hang on, when I say that, I don't mean to remove black people, I mean to remove trespassers. I know you'd think, oh my god, he's talking about black people, because this is the only lens through which you can view the world.
Facts, as much as I love thirst trapping on my Instagram.
God, you're so gay.
To make shit up like this, well, quite frankly, it's shocking. And
you are making up the motivation of all of the people involved in this? You fucking idiot. You have no proof of any of the things you've asserted, but you've just said, oh, most sane people think it's racism. Is that a fact, Hasan?
And then to write a whole ass article claiming that the manager was actually an SJW feminist of the highest order?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the article.
Why not also claim that she was actually on George Soros' payroll while you're at it? But go on, Ben.
Philadelphia's police commissioner on Saturday defended the arrest, saying his officers had to act after Starbucks employees told them the pair were trespassing.
Which the commissioner very quickly retracted.
Yeah, and why did he retract it? It's not that he retracted it because all the facts leading up until that point had suggested otherwise, and his officers did nothing wrong. He retracted it because of people like you, Hasan, causing a media shitstorm from which this poor dude is just like, look, I just want to run my police station. I don't want to get embroiled in the giant never-ending war of identity politics that you are happily participating in. Poor fucking dude.
Me, I apologize.
But of course...
Yeah, what did he do wrong? Why the fuck should he apologize? He did nothing wrong, the cops did nothing wrong, Starbucks did nothing wrong, but you are here perpetuating horseshit narratives about presumably everyone being a racist like you can read their fucking minds. You just assume you are correct when you are clearly not.
You won't mention that, and it's okay because...
It's not the police's fault, right? The police come and they're told somebody's trespassing on private property. They have to make the arrest.
No, actually, they could literally do everything but that.
Why? Why the fuck would they, Hasan? These two guys are refusing to buy a fucking coffee. They've been asked half a dozen times, buy a coffee, buy a coffee, buy a coffee, and they're just like, no, no, no. The cops come along and say, right, okay, you're going to have to leave. And they're like, no. It's like, okay, we're going to have to arrest you. I don't understand why you think they would do anything other than that.
Maybe try to figure out what's happening.
They did. The two guys were being completely uncooperative.
Maybe ask them to kindly leave, or
They did. They were being uncooperative.
maybe tell the barista they're allowed to be there.
That wouldn't be true.
But I guess your take is expected, Ben, since you've never seen a case of police brutality you didn't love.
Oh, now Ben Shapiro is just some sort of sadist who loves watching black people get beaten. The SJW Inquisition rolls on.
All I can say is this. The easiest way to avoid running with the cops is not to have a run-in with the cops.
Yeah, I mean, here's the best way.
Don't resist. Just do as you're told. I mean, that's what they're for. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you think you're genuinely standing up to some kind of oppression, then more power to you. But being asked to leave a Starbucks, this is not a Rosa Parks situation, Hasan.
To not get arrested at a Starbucks. Don't go to Starbucks.
No, buy a fucking coffee. Buy a motherfucking coffee. You fucking hack.
While being black. I am smart and reasonable. Ben Shapiro, everybody.
I can't believe that you think you can intellectually condescend to Ben Shapiro. You obviously have an IQ of 95. Shut up.
But go in, Ben, with the final blow.
Here's my problem with tapes like this. We don't have a whole tape.
I mean, we do, but I guess that whole interaction isn't enough for you.
Listen, dipshit, we have the entire tape, the 9/11 recording, and the statement from the police chief before he got forced to retract it by this media shitstorm, and nothing about it suggests it's racism, and yet you still think it's racism. Don't you think that the problem might be with you? Of course you don't. Why would I even ask that? That would require some kind of self-awareness. Go post on your Instagram some more.
We don't know what happened in this original store in Philadelphia.
So you're just gonna make shit up that you think happened.
What do you think you've just fucking done? That's literally what you're doing right now. I mean, I don't know when Ben Shapiro recorded his video, so maybe all the facts weren't out then, but they're all out now, and you're just making this whole shit up, dude.
Okay, got it.
And there are a couple of witnesses you see on that tape, but there's a white guy who says these black guys weren't doing anything.
Yeah, and for all we know, the white witness could have been Antifa.
No, he was a property developer, but the point is they weren't doing anything when they should have been buying a coffee.
And
We haven't heard from the manager.
but that didn't stop
Who got fired? Well, no, who left, but would have been fired.
you from writing an entire article calling her a blue-haired SJW. But you know, facts over feelings, right?
That is your position. It might be his position too, but like I said, I don't know anything about the manager.
As in the unconfirmed, unsubstantiated facts in this anonymous email you got from a fan over the actual facts from the tapes or the witnesses. But please, go on.
What facts from the fucking tapes? There is nothing in those tapes to suggest racism at all, Hasan. You're just making this shit up yourself, but okay, go on.
Philadelphia is a very heavily black town, so I can't imagine this Starbucks has never had black patrons before.
Yeah, because that's how it works. You can only be racist the first time you ever meet a black person. Anytime after that, you're vaccinated against doing racism.
What he's saying, Hasan, is there are probably black people in that Starbucks every damn day. There are probably black people in that Starbucks while those other two black people were being escorted out. The difference between those black people and the ones escorted out is the price of a cup of coffee.
I'm suggesting that we may not know the whole story here.
Ben, the intellectual titan, could literally look at a Klan rally and go, well, you know what? These guys could just be big fans of ghosts.
But if you didn't know it was a Klan rally and it was Halloween, maybe waiting for some extra information might be worthwhile. I'm guessing that Ben recorded his thing on the spur of the moment, on the cusp of the event, because we know all the facts and you're full of shit.
And they're actually doing cosplay, or they're actually SJWs who are burning a lowercase t for Trump. When will these liberals stop with their violence? Oh well.
I'm not even going to call you not liberals. You're just too dumb to understand it.
I guess we'll never know the whole story. But wait, we might not know the whole story, but Ben's got more hypotheticals.
Your entire fucking case is a hypothetical that's demonstrably wrong.
Why are we jumping to the conclusion that Starbucks employees are essentially racist?
A conclusion no one but Ben has arrived at, as he stretches towards more conclusions.
What? I going to have to listen to that again, because I must have heard that wrong.
Conclusion that Starbucks employees are essentially racist.
A conclusion no one but Ben has arrived at, as he stretches towards more conclusions of his own.
Do you even remember saying this, Hasan?
But these two dudes trying to have a business meeting at a Starbucks got arrested for being black. And to most sane people, it was another obvious example of the racial discrimination people of color face every day in America.
Are you suggesting that racial discrimination faced by people of color every day in America is not racism? And are you suggesting that that is disconnected from the people actually perpetuating racism? So in your mind, black people can be the victims of systemic racist discrimination by the employees of Starbucks, and that doesn't make the employees of Starbucks racist. Because that's what you've just said, you fucking lunatic. It's your position that Ben Shapiro is representing from your own words, from your own admission.
Is it possible that they're acting threatening toward the manager? I don't know any of this, right?
Yeah, but that won't stop you from thinking it and saying it to millions of people.
Just like you don't know whether any of the people involved are racist, but that was your fucking first conclusion.
Now we're going to retrain thousands of employees across the country, including black employees, in implicit bias without knowing the whole story.
I love that Ben is literally outraged that people are being trained on implicit bias.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be outraged if people being trained about thetan levels? Because the implicit bias tests are not, by any standard, a scientific metric of someone's implicit bias against or towards anything. Okay, they're fucking dodgy, Hasan. And if you knew anything about any of these subjects, you'd know that, but you clearly don't. You must have written the script, because this script is dumb.
It's totally unacceptable that the largest coffee franchise would dare train their employees on racial biases.
Yeah, what you're saying is it's weird that the largest coffee franchise would inject some kind of radical ideology into their managerial process. If they became Nazis and they were like, by the way, let's tell you about the Aryan race, you'd be like, whoa, that's inappropriate. For the same reasons, Hasan. You're like a midget. Only the tiny part of you is in your head.
If you're going to suggest that there is implicit bias, that there's some sort of evil racism rampant throughout American society, at least give me the whole story. I have to have the whole tape.
Yeah, Ben, you're right. The whole interaction with actual witnesses isn't enough. What
that didn't demonstrate racism, Hasan?
did the guys have for breakfast, for example? If they ever read a copy of the Communist Manifesto? Where are their birth certificates? Look, guys, I don't think all Starbucks employees are racist.
Just these ones.
I also don't think a boycott is necessary in this instance. But it's good
because Starbucks cucked.
That Starbucks is taking some sort of step to train their employees. But in the end...
To what? Not do anything to black people. If black people come into your store, do nothing. If they start doing nothing, if they don't buy any goods or services, don't do anything. Just allow them to sit there for as long as they want, because you don't get to say something to a black person. You can keep doing it to white people though if you like. Carry on.
If you're this hell-bent on defending a very obvious instance of racial discrimination where black people can't even sit at a fucking Starbucks without being harassed or arrested, then you're gonna end up looking like a fucking clown.
Yeah, it's Ben Shapiro who looks like a clown here, buddy. It's not you. It's not you claiming that you don't think the employees at Starbucks are racist, except they're being racist. I mean, and I love the way you use the term racial discrimination instead of racist. Yeah, what does that mean, Hasan? Why don't you summarize that in one word?
Like my main man, Ben Shapiro. So share this video if you think racist people try their hardest to seem smart, but...
That's you. That's you. And I will, but I'll have my own commentary on it, Hasan. Maybe make the main channel next time. Good luck, buddy.